We are back. Unofficial commentators. JJ 98 over there. Coach Paki over here. Another win, baby. I told you. Back-to-back wins. I'm going to make it happen this year. I'm going to make it happen, baby.
Back by unpopular demand, we're here to discuss the League of Haters 2025, and let's get right to it. All right, so this week started with Thursday Night Football, the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. For the first half, this game was a bit of a snoozer. Seattle got up big. The defense was stifling. Arizona couldn't do anything. Mainly, Kyler Murray couldn't even breathe. The moment he looked up off of that snap, he had like four defenders in his face. Scrambling wasn't working. Had no connection with anybody. But then he kind of brought it on. I don't know. I don't know if it was halftime adjustments or kind of just got lucky with another Hail Murray. But a long catch by Marvin Harrison Jr. made it so that the game was tied going into the final seconds, final minutes. At the end of the game, though, the Seahawks prevailed, winning it on a field goal. What are your observations there, Paki?
I mean, we briefly touched on Marvin Harrison last week, right? That he has a case of the yips, very briefly. And I think that was the biggest difference, honestly. I mean, the first half, they tried to connect with Marvin Harrison, and it wasn't there, right? So I think after he started catching a groove later in the game was when the Arizona started moving. I mean, let's be real, right? Without James Conner, this offense is running through Marvin Harrison. So this offense will be as good as Marvin Harrison is. Hopefully, that huge touchdown catch, which was awesome, is going to give them take him out of that slump because he was basically in a slump, and we'll see moving forward. But you got to give credit to the Seahawks in this game, man. Their running game is looking good. Kenneth Walker is looking good. Sam Bradford is just making really. I'm not gonna lie. He's making smart decisions, right, with the football.
Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold. I said Sam Bradford. Sam Darnold is making good decisions with the football. At least in that game, he did. He seems in command of the offense every week. He looks a little bit better. So, the Seahawks are just in a tough division, but they look pretty. They look pretty good. And again, man, shout out to your boy, bro. Your boy Smith and Jigba. That dude is like, he's nice, man. He's consistently nice.
Consistency is the name of the game. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a topic of much debate this week in the League of Haters chat.
Yes, sir.
I had him above Devontae Smith this week. When I was posed the question who to start, I said, you want to start the one that gets the most opportunities. And we just touched briefly right now on what it is that Jackson Smith and Jigba does. It's consistency. And he's going to get the opportunities. All that matters is what he does with them. Marvin Harrison Jr., he had the opportunities in the first half. He dropped balls directly into his hands, just like he did the week before. But when he finally grabbed them, put his big two paws on them, brought the ball in, touchdowns and good results.
I mean, I said it in the group chat, and I'll say it on the podcast as well. Like, I personally hate the start-sit conversations on players because, you draft players based on their overall season outlook, right? And you value players based on their overall season outlook. But for 1 week, a bum can outclass, like, your number one pick. And I'm not saying that Devontae Smith is a bum, but it's just such a difficult conversation. Like, this could have gone the other way also, right? Like, Devontae Smith could have caught two catches. They could have been two bombs for 80 yards. He could have gone 160 yards with two touchdowns, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's better. But it's like you said, I mean, it's not just the touches. It's also, for me personally, not just the touches and opportunities, but who is the priority in that offense, right? In the Philly offense, Devontae Smith is not a priority. He's not even the second, like the second one that the offense runs to. I think the offense, I would even argue maybe fifth, because the offense runs first through Saquon, second through Jalen Hurts, third through AJ, and the way the season is going, I'd even make an argument for Goddard over Devontae Smith right now. Does that mean Goddard is better?
Over AJ Brown.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, but in Arizona, I think there's no question. The offense runs through Marvin Harrison. They can suck all they want, but he's gonna get the ball thrown to him. So that's why I would side with him every week. But again, like week to week, things can change, right? Like 1 week, one guy can blow up and the other one not, right? So that I hate that start sit conversation for 1 week. I like to talk about a season.
All right, moving on to some of the Sunday action. The Bills, who were the subject of this year's, um, yeah, lost my train of thought. Um, what's the show on HBO? Hard Knocks.
Hard
The
Knocks.
Bills were the subject of Hard Knocks this year. Um, I don't remember anyone ever being in Hard Knocks and also having a great year right after being on the show. But so far, they're 4-0. They're looking great. Not terribly impactful for fantasy unless Josh Allen or James Cook. Everyone else is just kind of hit or miss. They get them when they get them. Dalton Kincaid is kind of getting steady production, but other than that, not much to see. And this Sunday they played against the Saints, who they just blew out beginning to end. Um, Only for the smallest amount of time did it seem like it was close. It was a one-score game, but overall, there was no match, and there was no fear that Buffalo was going to win that game.
We're talking about we were just talking about who the offense runs through, right? And in Buffalo, the offense runs through James Cook and then through Josh Allen. And the reason why I have Cook over Josh Allen is not because he's better, it's simply because you can clearly tell that there is a conceited effort to get James Cook the ball, both passing and running the ball on every drive. Then in regards to passing, Josh Allen's the one that's throwing the ball. He's the one that's completing. He's the one that's scoring touchdowns. But there's no consistency on the receiver because Buffalo runs mostly 2 and 3 tight end personnel, right? So it could be one day it could be Kincaid, one day it could be one of the other tight ends. I think one of the other tight ends also caught a touchdown. I don't even remember all their names because they're all on the field all the time. And then you might have Shakir one day, you might have Coleman another
Dawson
day.
Knox.
Yeah, Dawson Knox, right? So like they use so many personnel changes that these guys, none of these guys are on the field all the time. The only people that are on the field all the time are Josh Allen and James Cook.
For sure. A team that had a rough start, 0-2, the Kansas City Chiefs, are now 2-2 after two consecutive wins. In their latest effort, they beat the Ravens. A lot of talk was being made over and over. All of the talking heads were talking about how the Chiefs' offense were dead. Chiefs scored 37 points this week. They beat the Ravens. My question here is, are the Chiefs back or are the Ravens cooked?
So I think the Chiefs are back. They looked very different with Worthy. The offense just looked more lively, right? And the talk now is, oh, wait till Rashee Rice gets back. I mean, clearly they were missing that piece on the outside. I also saw that they tried to be a little bit different with the running game. They even tried running under center. Not that they do it very often. They tried getting this young running back Smith involved as well in there, right? So it looks like they are trying to be a little bit more dynamic on offense, which opened it up a little bit even more for Travis Kelce, who clearly has lost a step. So I really like where the Chiefs. I mean, I fucking hate the Chiefs, but football wise, I like where they're heading. They're clearly progressing. In regards to the Ravens, though, first of all, let's be clear. I mean, the Ravens have had a brutal schedule, dude. I mean, they played Detroit, they've played Buffalo, and they played the Chiefs. Like three literally Super Bowl contenders in their first 4 games. The schedule gets a lot smoother moving forward. If you're in one of those fantasies that you own, like the Baltimore defense, that defense has been getting cooked for the first 4 weeks. The only good week they had was when they played who was it that they played, the only game they won that was super easy, but that wasn't none of those three.
The
The
Browns.
other the Browns. Other than that, dude, it's been really rough for them. So it's gonna get easier. They're gonna get in a groove. This is a really rough like start for the season. It ain't easy, but then it gets down to like what I told you. I've lost faith in them winning the Super Bowl. How a lot of people are getting to the Super Bowl because they seem to be getting more emotional as the weeks have been getting tougher, and that does not bode well for a championship caliber team. So I'm not expecting them to make it to the Super Bowl like a lot of people had, but they will get better, right? Fantasy wise, especially their schedule is going to get better.
How does Lamar Jackson get injured, leave the game in the second half, and the team doesn't lean on Derrick Henry?
I think you posed a question last week. The only game they won was the game that they didn't give Derrick Henry the ball that much because he wasn't fumbling. And I think I disagreed with you. I said I think they just got to fix the fumbles, but I will never stop giving the ball to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry only touched the ball 8 times. Like that's unacceptable. I don't care that the game got out of reach. Like before the game got out of reach, the ball should have been given to Derrick Henry more. Lamar Jackson like dropped back almost like 40 times versus so many like few running plays. That's not the formula for Baltimore. You got a golden ticket with Derrick Henry. You gotta use it. I think that was part of the reason why they lost as well.
Feel you. The Giants, eh? My New York Giants. They started Jackson Dart. We talked about it last week. I had tempered expectations, very little hope. And I'm almost ashamed to say that with a new rookie quarterback, I actually put it all on San Diego, on Los Angeles, on the Chargers in my survivor pool, and I took a big L on that one. What did the Chargers do wrong? What did the Giants do right?
The Giants did right what we talked about. Remember, I said I don't know what Dable is going to do, but Jackson Dart is a lot more athletic. So if they want to be successful, they got to change the offense up a little bit. They did. They used his legs. There was designed runs consistently right throughout the game for him. So that's a huge positive in my opinion. They also had a lot of like easy completion design plays for him to get his confidence up. Very smooth play calling. They relied on Scatterboo. We talked about this as well. Scatterboo was, the one churning, right, with all the touches, bruising, cruising, what I mean? Bruising and cruising. I like that. So he was doing his job. So I think that's what I like about what the Giants did. In regards to the Chargers, it's hard to fault them because more than blaming what the Chargers did wrong, you got to give credit to the Giants defense as well because they were just harassing Herbert the entire game. So, the Giants only put up 21 points. That's a good amount of points. That's not a lot of points. I think the biggest difference here was that they held the Chargers to under 20 points. You know what I mean, on their defense. So, one thing that I expect to see in the future that the Chargers didn't do as much that you're probably gonna start seeing the next game is there's probably going to be more spies, for Jackson Dart based on the running play. So that's going to make it a little bit more complicated for him. And obviously, like with Neighbors out, if there's one thing that you can say, like, Jackson Dart had a good debut, but he had some mistakes. One of them was you didn't really see that, the deep throw yet getting, like, you know what I mean, as a big threat. And with Neighbors out, it's only going to be harder. So I think teams are going to key in on that. It's going to get a little bit tougher for him. He's going to have to learn to adjust, and the Giants are going to have to find a way to, dial up some big plays to stretch out the defense.
One thing that I wanted to point out is the Giants sustained possession for long periods of time. They had a lot of sustained long runs, and that led to the defense being a little bit more rested. They weren't totally gassed, and they were able to pressure Justin Herbert more. So
Because
if you
Cam
ask me,
Scatterbull ran the ball 25 times. That's why.
well, this is how you sustain the runs
Yes, sir.
for sure. All right. Um, More Sunday football. Um, the New England Patriots played against the Carolina Panthers. Not 100% sure why Brother Sadaga put this up here, but is there anything really to talk about other than maybe there's a connection between May and Diggs
No, it's just more about how bad the Panthers played, dude. The Panthers shocked the world when they beat the Falcons and shut
last
them
week?
out. Like
Mhm.
nobody expected that. I don't know what the hell was happening with Michael Penix. I don't know what happened with the Falcons that week, but the Panthers were atrocious, dude. They're just horrible. Um, there's like there's an interesting race right now for the worst team in the NFL between the Panthers, the Saints, the Raiders. I guess you could possibly throw in like the Jets in there as well, but these Panthers, dude, are just. Oh, and the Titans. These Panthers, dude, they're just
The
bad. I don't
Titans
think
for
the Patriots.
sure. The Jets showed little to no discipline. They gave up way too many penalties.
Mhm. Yeah. So I mean, dude, I mean, look at. I
Did you
mean,
mention the
dude,
Saints? They look terrible too.
Yeah, I mentioned the Saints, but yeah, dude, like Drake May didn't even have 20 pass attempts. Like they didn't even have to run the ball as much. This was just more about Carolina not being able to get anything done. New England getting plays done on defense. It's not gonna happen every week. You know what I mean? I wouldn't make much of a case out of this.
As far as fantasy is concerned, Hunter Henry finds the end zone again. Only 2 receptions on 2 targets. It looks like they had Stephon Diggs and they decided that they were going to
Mm-hmm.
use him by hook or by crook. 7 targets, 6 catches to the tune of 101 yards. Other than that, not a ton to write home about. I don't like their running game. I own Trayvon Henderson in another fantasy league
Mm.
until further notice. He's only going to come out if Ramondre Stevenson ends up getting injured. But I don't see much that's usable in either one of these two teams. Not sure why Dago told me to talk about this game. Thank you very much for everything else, but let's move on to another game that
Shout,
matters.
shout out to our
Uh,
producer.
for sure, doing his job. All right, Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football featured a game that ended in a tie, but dude, this was a slugfest. Back and forth, scoring, kicking. Every part of the game seemed to be on display. The Dallas Cowboys tie with the Green Bay Packers. A lot of talk is surrounding the fact that people expected a bigger game from Micah Parsons. He didn't factor too much into the game except for maybe saving what would have been the game ending touchdown. Um, what are we seeing there? Is Green Bay coming back to earth? Does Dallas have a chance?
It's funny. As an offensive line coach, we always talk about you can't give up any sacks, right? And this rookie lineman, I think he's on the Patriots now from LSU, said it like if you are an offensive lineman and you give up 1 sack a game, you are total garbage and you will never play football again. But if you're a defensive lineman and you get 1 sack per game, that's 17 sacks in an NFL season. You're going to get paid tens of millions of dollars, possibly hundreds of millions of dollars. So Michael Parsons did get 1 sack. I'm not saying that justifies his performance, but my biggest surprise here, and again, credit to the Cowboys offense, but I expected more from the Green Bay Packers defense in general. Honestly, I was surprised they couldn't stop the run. Like I get it, the, the Cowboys have firepower on offense, right? But they didn't have CeeDee Lamb. You would expect them to at least shut down the run game. Javonte Williams, dude, he's just consistently churning out 4 or 5 yards, especially when you need him, dude. Like, and I think that's what's keeping the drives going. That's what's keeping the Cowboys in favorable third down position. So again, I was very disappointed on the Packers defense, right? So this was definitely an offensive firepower game. So, I mean, credit to Jordan Love, credit to Dak Prescott. They both did their job. They have very similar stat lines. As a matter of fact, if you look at their stat lines, it's brutally close, right? So, um, these teams are not supposed to be tying. Like, the Packers are considered Super Bowl contenders. The Cowboys are not. So, this is totally on the Packers.
But is this what they are? Was the first 2 games where they looked totally dominant? Is that what I should expect from them? Should I expect a team that crumbled in week 3, or are they a little bit of both, where they score a lot and allow a lot, like they did this past week?
That's a valid question because when they played the Browns, which was a very good defense, they couldn't get anything going. Now they play the Cowboys that has a marshmallow defense, and all of a sudden, oh, the Packers are back. You know what I mean? I think we're gonna need to see a little bit more from them. We're gonna have to see how they go, how they play in their divisional games moving forward. They looked amazing versus Detroit on the first week. That's awesome. But as the season goes on, as teams adjust, as film gets put on, as teams are seeing more film and are able to adjust, we have to see if these guys are the real deal. I think you're right. The question is up there now. Are they the real deal? This game was not the one that's going to tell us if they are or not.
Uh, we've spent a lot of time talking about not so great games. Possibly the game of the year so far featured 2 teams coming into it at 3-0. The Philadelphia Eagles played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ultimately, the Eagles pulled it out, but Baker Mayfield continues to excite in the final minutes. What did you see in
Uh,
that game?
I love Baker, dude. I love Baker. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking about this
Wow.
earlier today. Imagine Lamar Jackson had Baker's mentality, or
Hmm.
imagine Baker had Lamar's talents. Like, dude, it's just like I, I mean, dude, Baker was getting like trash talked all of the first half. The Eagles owned the Bucks in the first half, and you could just see him. He was just be like, "All right, I'm coming. Don't worry, I'm coming, bro." And that second half was amazing by the Bucks. You know what I mean? The Eagles again inconsistent on offense, right? Especially in the passing game. I think this has a lot to do with the offensive coordinator. I don't know if it's either the Eagles receivers suck or the passing concepts aren't there. I'm siding more towards the passing concepts because honestly, they're not getting open. Like receivers are not getting open in Philadelphia. They're not, especially in drop back passing. Quick game, it's there. You know, boop 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 boop. Screens, it's there, very easy. But when they need to drop back, third and long, there's nothing there, dude. People aren't getting open. I don't like what's going on. I don't like the concepts. There's not much creativity going on. You know, they had a really nice play when they did that shovel pass to Dallas Goddard out of the bunch formation and empty. That was beautiful. That was like the coolest play I've seen all season from an offensive coordinator perspective. But other than that, dude, the Eagles have to get more
Do
creative
you
in the
think that was
passing game.
planned?
Yeah, it was 100% planned. The blocking was set for that. Yeah, that was
Okay.
100% planned. It was 100% planned. It was beautiful design. And they were in a bunch set on purpose. There's an empty formation. There's nobody behind them. Nobody else was running a route. That was designed for that. That was kind of had like a little Andy Reid vibe to it. I liked it. Yeah, man.
What's
Eagles got to tighten up. I mean, that goes back to what I was just saying, dude. They're not getting open. Like, if you look at AJ Brown's routes, we talked about this in previous episodes too. A lot of hitches, a lot of slants. Jalen Hurts was not accurate. Even in one of the slants that AJ Brown caught, it was a little bit behind. So he is making the passes a little bit more uncomfortable. Shout out to Omar. He made a good point. Like Jalen Hurts is struggling throwing outside the numbers, and I think defenses are noticing that. So they're clogging up the middle, right? Um, Especially which helps them in a way because you got to stop the run game. So you can drop back play zone that helps you stop the run game as well. Which is why you've seen Saquon Barkley get a little bit more bottled up than usual, right? So they have to start getting the ball downfield and outside the numbers. The Eagles they did it versus the Rams in the second half, but that was just one half of football. And we played 4 weeks, so there's 8 halves of football. They've had one good half of football throwing the ball. That's unacceptable. They're 4-0 though. I mean, to be honest with you, the Eagles are 4-0 because their special teams has not gotten enough credits. I mean, it kind of has, but dude, this is not about offense or defense for the Eagles right now. Their special teams is balling.
another team that had a chance to be undefeated, at least to this point, was the Indianapolis Colts. Once again, our man Danny Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones, uh, had a chance. He did everything he needed to do, but ultimately it was help me with his first name. It was Mitchell messing the game up for the entire Colts, and the Rams just won by a touchdown in a game that could have gone either way.
Yeah, 2 picks by Daniel Jones though. But can we start?
Adonai.
Can we start taking the Rams more serious though?
I never stopped.
I know, but I feel like they haven't got nobody's talked about the Rams. The Packers got more hype about them because they got Micah Parsons. But dude, the Rams are nice. Their defensive line is amazing. And they lose Aaron Donald to an early retirement basically. And they got this guy
This is a
Jared
couple years
Verse.
ago now.
Yeah, I know. And they got this that's why I said early retirement. And then you got Jared Verse coming. Like this guy is probably what Micah Parsons was supposed to be that we haven't seen it yet on the Packers. Like this Jared Verse guy, he's unblockable, dude. Like, so the Rams are like legit as hell, dude. I think this team is going to be a problem. I don't think anybody's going to want to play the Rams in a playoff game the way that they've been playing so far. Their running game is solid. Their play action game is solid. I told you, man, Puka Nakua is literally unstoppable. Devontae Adams is able to make the big catches when they need it. So this is a complete team to me.
I think they're contenders. I never stop believing. I
Yeah,
like
I know, but nobody
Matthew
talked about
Stafford
them.
a lot. I like their offense. I'm totally invested in Nakua and everything. And I'm knocking on wood here, but if Nakua goes down with injury, that probably ends all of my fantasy seasons. I have him everywhere.
Dude,
All right.
Puka
Well,
Nakua.
enough about.
Puka Nakua is like that Baker Mayfield of wide receivers to me right now. Like, I just love seeing Puka play, dude. He's just nice.
The Monday Night Football games were not all that exciting. Yeah, there were two blowouts. Not a ton to write home about. The Dolphins beat the Jets. The Broncos beat the Bengals. Outside of that, who cares?
I
The
don't know why they
Bengals
didn't flex these
offense
games.
is the Bengals offense looks cooked. They got nothing, and for that matter, the defense. I mean, it could just be the fact that nothing happening on offense, so the defense is just getting exhausted. And the Dolphins, I expected them to beat the Jets. Um, they did the bare minimum. They beat the Jets, but in doing so, they lose Tyreek Hill. So basically, that's the biggest takeaway of the matchup. Not the fact that now they're 1-3, but now the fact that they're going to play the rest of the year without Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill down, Malik Neighbors down. Both of those teams 1-3. What does that mean for fantasy projections? Who do we lean on now that we lost Malik Neighbors? Is there still hope for Jackson Dart going forward?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the waiver wire, everybody's going to go over Slayton, right? I mean, he's the next one up, I would assume, right? In New York, you guys, half of this group chat is, of our group chat, or half of this league is Giants fans. So you guys probably know your roster better than I do. But my biggest concern is even if Slayton is the next man up, like, can he stretch the field like Neighbors can? Like I said earlier, like if there's one thing that I can, one
Not by
flaw,
himself.
right? If there's one thing that was a flaw in Dart's game in his first game was, I don't feel like they stretched the field enough. It's a matter of time before NFL teams start seeing this, and defensive coordinators are not stupid. They're going to put a spy on him so he can't get out the pocket, right? And they're going to, cover everything underneath. They're going to force you to throw over the top, and turnovers are going to happen. So, the Giants have to find a way to get something to get the ball deep downfield,
Yeah,
to
Darius
unlock this
Slayton doesn't
offense.
stretch the field by himself.
Right.
With neighbors, they can take turns and they can spread it out. But if it's just him and the defense can kind of shut him down with one one player in the secondary can shut down Slayton. He's not the one that's going to catch it over two players like Neighbors does
Yeah.
on occasion or even often.
And then you got Wan'Dale Robinson, who I've seen him make great plays, but I've also made the most stupidest bonehead catches ever that should have been caught. Like, you know what I mean? So that I can totally see him getting like a dime from Dart and dropping it, you know what I mean? When they need it the most. So I don't think any defensive coordinator is going to lose sleep over him. So other than that, dude, there's literally nothing on this. Like, I don't even know the rest of the Giants wide receivers. Like, I'm looking at their like depth chart. I'm like, I don't even know who the hell these guys are. Jalen Hyatt,
Well, when I ask,
Bo
yeah, well,
Collins. Who the fuck are these people? I never heard of these guys, dude. What the fuck is this? So
I also don't know
that's
how long Tyrone Tracy's out for, but he's a converted wide receiver that they made into a running back. In a pinch, he can probably run some routes.
yeah, they have good route runners. Again, they need somebody to stretch the field. That's what they need right now because you got Scatterboo, right? You got Scatterboo, so he's gonna be able to, you know, 3 yards in a cloud of dust and maybe a little bit more, right? So he's gonna be able to keep the defense honest. But if nobody's over the top, dude, they're just gonna bring everybody down. So I'm personally not even gonna waste my waiver on Darius Slayton. I'm telling you right now. I might be wrong. I'm sure he'll be great, whatever for fantasy, but I got to see it to believe it. I don't want to risk it. It's not worth it. Not worth it for me.
All right. And on the Dolphins, who benefits from Tyreek Hill being out?
Oh, Jalen Waddle, dude. Jalen Waddle. And I hope my our Dolphins insider, Mr. Omar, right, keeps us honest here. But I mean, Jalen Waddle should be a lot better. But other than that, I'm very, very intrigued with Malik Washington. Because Malik Washington would be like the next similar type of player to Tyreek Hill. And the Dolphins finally, like, this was Tyreek Hill's best game before he got hurt, like the way that he was playing. The Dolphins finally started doing what they should have been doing all season, which I had talked about before. They started doing a lot more play action. They started running the ball a lot more. They started getting to a lot more bootlegs and getting Tyreek Hill involved in those bootlegs with crossing routes, getting him in open space. Like Tyreek Hill is the fastest player in the world, but that doesn't in the world, not in the world. Like he's the fastest player on the team. But that doesn't mean that you have to be throwing him deep 15-yard outs or fly routes all the time. Get him in space, let him cook, right? So they finally did that. So I'm curious to see if they can do that with Malik Washington. Um, that's who I'm personally more intrigued about on the wide receiver side. So, we'll see. And obviously, Jalen Waddle is the one that's going to
Just
benefit.
players in general that benefit. You say Malik Washington. I'm going to counter that with Darren Waller. Darren Waller was the beneficiary of the end zone. Darren
Mm-hmm.
Waller, if he starts to get used the way that they used Jonnu Smith last year, he's going to get a ton of catches. He's going to rack him up in fantasy points, and he's the one that's seeing the end zone touches. So when
Yeah,
Tyreek Hill is out and you get a chance to kind of stuff Jalen Waddle, I believe that Darren Waller is going to get a lot more opportunities than anyone else on this team in the absence of Tyreek Hill.
that's very valid. I 100% agree with you on that. I like Waller as well. They made it. They clearly he was the priority in the goal line, based on his touchdowns. Um, so I'm sure they're going to keep using him like that because they were using him like that even before Tyreek Hill got hurt. I didn't see them use him much in open field though. So if they plug him in there, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right.
I think he'll be the escape valve, and Tua desperately needs something like that. He can't
Yeah,
hold the
I
ball
agree.
forever. They want to get the ball out of his hands quicker. I don't think Waddle creates separation as quickly as Hill does. So when you just want to get the ball out of your hands, if you're not checking down, you're looking for Darren Waller.
The only thing about Darren Waller is that he's already owned in our league, dude. I mean, he might find him in waivers somewhere else, but somebody already had him even before the game.
Well, we
He's
have
not
a
a
big
waiver
league,
pick.
and
Yeah.
I know that the more traditional leagues are 10 teams. There's a lot of 8 teams out there too. We play in a big league, even though we took it down a couple spots. But even then, yeah, there's very little to be had in our league
Hmm.
specifically. Imagine we used to play 14-team leagues, like you'd have one star per
Brutal,
team.
brutal.
All right. Speaking of the League of Haters, quick recap on what happened in Week 4. All right. So it looks like the highest scoring duo actually this week saw a new number one emerge now 3-1 Guica. He beats Daryl's. Oh no, this is Brito's team,
The
the
purge is
Purge,
Brito. Yeah.
that drops to 1-3. They scored 140 points, dude. What a tough luck loss. He would have beat like 10 of the other teams in this league. There were only 2 teams that could have possibly beat him, but he ran up against the highest scoring team this week. 157 points for Geeka that last week. A lot of that had to do with performances from players like Baker Mayfield, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Jacobs, that just gets force fed everything. The aforementioned James Cook. All of these guys brought something to the table. And dude, he left so many points on the bench. Uh, Matthew Stafford actually outscored Baker Mayfield. Travis Etienne had 19 points, and he didn't see the field. He got preference over Titoria McMillan. Dude, I want no part of Carolina's offense. If I'm geek, I'm not starting this. But then again, I don't even know if he sees this team. When we start getting into bye weeks this week, I think this team is going to struggle some.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
What I like the most about this, real quick, is on Guica's team, bro. Tyler Warren had a good game. Not as big as Dallas Goddard because he has them both, but I told you he was on the verge of having a big game, and he did. He came through.
I'm sorry, looking at the wrong week. Throwing hurts now 2-2, 6 plates. Hands the Wakanda Panthers their first loss of the season. 127 points, modest output, not terrible.
Mm.
Definitely improving over last week, and it puts Cousin One back in the race. This was more of a letdown on the behalf of the Wakanda Panthers. He starts T. Higgins, who only gets 4 fantasy points. Derrick Henry had a very slow day. David Montgomery, speak of slow days, even in a game where the Lions kind of they were up big on the Browns and they had a chance to salt it away, but They didn't give any of these runs or any of these opportunities to David Montgomery. On the other hand, Jalen Hurts, two passing touchdowns, rushes for 62 yards. These are all racking up fantasy points, even though he's stuck strong with Devontae Smith. Um, and he had a couple of single digit performances here that aren't too great. What ultimately put throwing Hurts over the top was
The rise
the
of Ashton Jenkins.
standalone the standalone performance from Ashton Jeanty. Is this repeatable at all?
I think it's repeatable. Maybe not 30 points, but I think it's repeatable. Not every week because that blocking sucks, and every big play that he had was breaking tackles. Um, but I think I said it before when it comes to running backs, dude. Touches, the more touches you get, the more chances you have to break a big one, right? So they gave him the ball more than
Got
they've ever had
plenty.
all season.
Yeah, he got plenty of touches, but two of these came off of receptions. He caught two touchdowns.
Yep, and they also played the Bears. So
He played the Bears. That's right. Um, what emphasis, if any at all, are you putting on the fact that he changed his stance prior to running his routes?
I'd say more of a mental thing. I don't think physically it changes anything, but mentally it does
Go with what
because
works.
yeah, if you're comfortable with that stance and that's how you've ran your entire life, now you have to have a mental idea of like, okay, this is the proper stance. I got to keep my knees bent like this. I got to be my feet got to be wide at this. My arms got to be here. So you're already thinking about that, and you haven't even thought about the play that you're doing. I think mentally it makes a difference, but physically it makes no difference.
I feel you. Throwing Hurts had the biggest blowout of the week this week. La Maldición Inca scored 152 points, second highest score of all of the teams. He beats Screenshots 2024, which puts Maldición Inca at 3-1, now third place overall. Screenshots 1-3, 10th place overall in a 12-team league. Um, I think I had Maldición Inca winning this game anyway. Jordan Love being Jordan Love, Jackson Smith and Jigba getting his catches, turning them into yards and production. Jordan Mason took a step back this game, but Omari and Hampton, this
I told
guy,
you. I told you, right?
yeah, I own him in another league. I'm quite happy with the outcome. Dude, this is incredible how
Who did you see how many touches the other running back got?
who's behind him? No, I did not see.
Nothing. He was the only running back that ran the ball.
No, I guess that's why I didn't see it. It's not showing up in any of the numbers.
Exactly. Exactly. I told you.
Uh, Screenshot's a bit of a tough luck loss. He outperformed his projection. He was projected 120 points. He scored 123. A lot of that was riding on the back of Josh Allen, but all of these single digit performances kind of laid him out, knocked him out for the count. Uh, I don't know what you're going to do about Chase Brown. You have him, you have to start him. Um, and
Bro,
speaking
anybody in
of,
Cincinnati is he has Jamar Chase too, dude. If
mm,
I'm a Jamar Chase or T. Higgins owner, which I am in a couple other leagues, I'd be, dude. I wouldn't tell you like get rid of him because I don't think anybody's gonna buy them. But it's hard to watch, dude. It's so hard to watch.
is there hope if they get another quarterback? That's the talk of all of the major TV shows.
Oh,
Can Cincinnati revive and not punt in this season if they get another quarterback? Just to hold the just to hold it down a little bit until they can get back Joe Burrow.
the question is who? Who are they gonna get? Because everybody says get another quarterback. Who?
Well, I hear
Russell
that Kirk
Wilson?
Cousins is potentially available. Russell Wilson, maybe, for that matter. Um,
The problem is that
uh, James Winston.
plugging in a quarterback after the season started is not the same as plugging in a position player after the season started. Like they have to learn the entire language, entire playbook. It takes time, and by the time they're caught up, Joe Burrow might be fine. So it's such a
3
difficult
months,
conundrum
dude.
at
Joe
this
Burrow's
point.
not coming back for the rest of the fantasy season, and for real season. By the time he comes back, it might not even be worth it. They won't have any aspirations to
Right.
playoffs or anything like that. Their
That's
defense is
tough.
terrible. Their offensive line is terrible.
I
But
mean, even if you get Kirk
how do you
Cousins,
just
no, no, no. Even
give
if you,
up on a year of T Higgins and Jamar Chase?
you just got to punt on the
Toss the
season, dude.
year
Because
away like nothing.
if I'm being realistic, like if I'm a GM here, I'm like, okay, I can get Kirk Cousins, but how long can Kirk Cousins last under this offensive line? If I get Russell Wilson has played his worst with a bad offensive line. So is it really that much of a difference? Am I gonna win more games with these guys with what I have right now? I'm not saying it's not possible, but damn it, dude! Like,
Got to
what are
give
you
him a
giving
chance.
up? Dude. It's so tough. I don't have. It's such a difficult one here, man. It's brutal,
I mean,
man.
what's the alternative? Just chuck it up and take a loss this year?
I don't fucking
That's
know, dude.
terrible.
That's their.
It
This is the
really-
Bengals' fault. This is the Bengals' fault, honestly. They set themselves up for this.
Hey man, the Lion Kings, huh? Now
I
two
thought,
and two, eighth place overall. Just
yeah,
one place
baby.
behind the now 2-2 Joel Vasquez team. You beat them by just a point and a fraction of a point.
Yes, sir.
Let's call it a point and a half. Yeah, actually, it might be that exactly. 110.88 to 109.38. You won by a point and a half.
Yeah,
You
I
did
had
tell
beat him
them
by
not
him.
to celebrate too early.
I beat him by 50 cents, by half a point. But I think with the stat correction, it gave me an extra point. But I told him not to celebrate too early. I told him.
Um, Both of these teams kind of scored on the low end. Congrats on pulling it, being honest. Uh, is there anything that stands out here? I see a lot of single digit games on both sides. Um,
I mean, it's not like we lit up the scoreboard either, dude. This was this was a pretty bad game. What stands out for me is I need more help at receiver. My running backs are solid, dude. I'm just talking about my team. So I should have gone with Brian Thomas, right? He's the higher pick, but I do want to make emphasis on something about my team. I did auto draft, and the auto draft was total garbage. But there is one tiny benefit of auto drafting, which is kind of making me think about maybe auto drafting more in the future. And it's that I am not attached to any of these fucking players. So I'm ready to drop trade anyone. So I feel like I've had more freedom mentally to just put waivers in and pick up all these dudes and be like, fuck it. If it works, it works. If not, I don't care what I lost. Because when you draft a player, you kind of get like too attached to them. You know what I mean? And you're like,
and
should I let him go?
it
You know what I mean?
hurts. It hurts to drop your third round pick. You're like, man, I picked
Right.
him third ahead of
Look at
all
me.
these
Look
people.
at me
I gotta
benching
move on.
Brian Thomas. Look at me benching Brian Thomas. If you drafted Brian Thomas probably in the second or third round, like you probably think about benching him. If you drafted him, I didn't fucking draft him. Bench him, but I should have started him. But I need more receiver help. Yeah, that's what it gets down to.
Uh, Tua Taloco, they look hapless. They played against the system this week. The system beat their buns in, honestly. George Pickens picked up the slack left by CD Lamb. Dude, I am so tired. Like, all of these names are just turning into mush in my head. Bijan Robinson, I don't remember him being this good last year. Like, I don't know what changed, but Bijan Robinson is becoming consistent. Consistent double digits is kind of the name of his game. Um, and basically, these people helped them survive what would have been Justin Herbert's worst game so far this season. Jonathan Taylor wasn't great either, but you look on the other side, and it's more of the same. Even in a Dolphins win, they didn't get you enough fantasy points for any of this to matter.
I told you they needed to get 40 points because football speaking, Tua had a great game. Fantasy speaking, he gave you 14 points.
Yep.
That's what it gets down to, man.
Tyreek Hill was looking good, left early. Uh, Waddle didn't do much. I mean, maybe if he would have gotten into the end zone, he might have saved a little bit of this week. Seems like all of the touchdowns basically came down to Darren Waller. Saquon Barkley had a typical Saquon Barkley game. Like you said, he was kind of quiet, still got into the end zone, though.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one shining star on this team, it looks like it's Emeka Ibuka.
We talk about him every week, dude. I feel like we talk about
Every
him every
week.
week.
Yep,
Every week.
I think that's his new nickname. Every
Every
week.
week. I'm down. I love that
Two
name.
girls,
Every
one
week.
cup. now in fifth place, beats El Monte Candela. Um, I pulled this one off, by a couple of hairs off my ass, man. Like 109 to 103. He forgot to switch out James Conner, who played in Thursday night's game. I don't know. Maybe he was
That's
distracted,
it.
busy. Who knows what it is?
That
But
game
that
was
would have
at
been the
9. It
difference.
was 9:30. I fucking hate these 9 a.m. games, dude. Well, didn't he play
No,
at
no,
9 a.m.?
Connor was on Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night, even worse. Yeah, that's tough. You don't
Yeah,
jump in
yeah.
on Thursday. That's on him. That's still tough
But
though. Thursday
definitely
nights
forgot,
morning games are brutal, man.
got distracted, didn't start him, and,
Yeah.
then the breaks. But
And
lucky me, I guess.
DeAndre Swift was right there, man. He would have won. But yeah, lucky you. You snooze, you lose.
Sometimes luck is the name of the game. It's better to be lucky than good. I think we talked
Camarón que
about
se
every matchup
duerme,
last week.
se lo lleva el fantasy.
All right, looking ahead to week 5. Throwing Hurts 2-2 in sixth place is going up against the 10th overall screenshots 2024. Uh, there's going to come a time where I, I actually have to start picking cousin Juan. Every week I pick against him. Um,
He's
not
gonna say
every
you
week
hate,
does he win. Not every
you
week does he
hating,
win. But
you hating.
listen, with all that being said, um, I don't. I'm not picking him this week. I'm sorry, dude. I said all that to set you up, but I'm not picking you this week. Um, I'm gonna go with screenshots. And rather than tell you why I'm picking screenshots, I'm going to tell you why I'm not picking you. Right now, you have 2 defensive slots available. That's fine. I'm not judging squarely on the projection, but who you have remaining on your bench, you're carrying a lot of injured players. Tajay Spears. Um, I don't know why or what the hope is, what he read that's making you want to keep him, but he's droppable. Chris
Yeah.
Godwin, there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity there. There's a chance. He is going against a very tough defense. Amika Buka looks like he's getting all of the attention, all of the touches. I don't know, coming off of an injury, how productive Chris Godwin's going to be. Um, Jalen Hurts, if he doesn't get into the end zone, what use is he really? Cortland Sutton against Philadelphia. I think he's going to get stuffed and stifled. Uh, the only player I really like this week is Alvin Kamara going against the Giants, but I don't think that's going to be enough to put you over the edge on this one. There's just too many favorable matchups and too many good players on the other side. Sorry, cousin Juan. This week I'm going with screenshots.
I mean, one thing that we haven't even talked about yet, which we will be talking as we go through these matchups, is we're getting into bye weeks. Bye weeks have
Yep,
started, right? So
correct.
bye weeks do make a difference, and these guys don't have any major offensive players on bye, but they have defensive players on bye. And the reason why that's a big deal is because either you drop somebody that you don't want to drop, or you go blank without that defensive player. So you know, cousin Juan, for example, has two defenders I think on bye, right? So he's gonna have to pick up 2 people. So you're gonna have to drop 2 people, right? And the same thing applies for screenshots. So bye weeks play a factor.
There's,
Whether
there's, there's players here to be dropped. Like I said, Tyreek Spears, even if he comes back and he's any kind of good, nothing in Tennessee
I
is looking
told
good
you,
right now.
you we
All of it is
say that
droppable.
we say that looking from the outside in, but I'm telling you, this auto draft made me see things a little bit different. I have no emotional attachment to a player. It's easy for us to say that, right? Because it's not our team. But when you pick up a player, you see something or you read something and you're like, fuck, I don't want to, you're going to have to make a decision on who to drop. So I get it. I don't disagree with what you're saying because I feel the same way about the whole Tennessee team in general. But when it's your player, you get a little attached to it, right? So we'll see what happens. I'm going with screenshots too as well on this one, man. I mean, Josh Allen versus the Patriots, I expect them to light them up. My only concern here, where I'm kind of makes me say, you know what? I'm gonna go with throwing Hurts. I'm gonna switch it up, and the reason why is because I'm not gonna contradict myself. I'm gonna stick with what I said earlier. There's 2 Bengals on this team for screenshots. I don't expect them to put up points. There's two Bengals on the team. They got Chase Brown and they got Jamar Chase. I mean, it's Jamar Chase, so he can pop up anytime. But I gotta stay consistent with what I said earlier, right? I don't trust Cincinnati right now. Cincinnati's offense is like Tennessee's offense right now. So, you got Devon Achane is against Carolina points, right? So that's points. And you got who else did I see in here that I like? Jameson Williams is even though he's on his bench. Like I like Jameson Williams because he's going up against Cincinnati. So on screenshot side, Josh Allen looks good. Debo's going against the Chargers. That's tough. Mark Andrews, he can be here nor there. Isaiah Pacheco here nor there. I don't know, right? So, and then you got the Bengals, which I don't trust either. So there's not a lot that I'm trusting here besides Josh Allen for this particular week. So I'm gonna go with cousin Juan, man. I'm gonna go with cousin Juan.
Josh Allen might get you 40 points, dude.
Yeah,
Against New
that's.
England.
I mean,
Take that
Travis
go.
Hunter.
I got screenshots this week. All right. The Purge 1-3, ninth place overall. They're going up against the system, 3-1 in second place. Even with no receiving yards, Gary is 3-1 this week.
Mm,
Uh, Going into this week. Um,
mm.
this week, dude, I am going to go with the system. And it's not so much about what they have, it's about what the Purge does not. Um, you know what? I think I might have spoken out of turn. No Bijan Robinson this week
Yeah, no
for the
first round pick.
system.
No first round pick.
Ooh. Mm,
Ooh, that's what I
mm,
was
mm,
looking
mm.
at too. Bye weeks, bro. Bye weeks will change fantasy football. Any
Nana
any
McConkey didn't look great last week.
any given
Couldn't
Sunday,
get
baby.
separated from anybody. Shit, you know what? Fuck Gary. I'm going with the Purge.
I'm going
I
with the
believe in
purge
Buck
too.
Garrett. I think that Dak Prescott can exploit the New York Jets offense. I like Kyron Williams even. Um, right now, it's looking like San Francisco may be a tough run defense, um, but they're losing pieces on defense every week, it seems like. I mean, Fred Warner is still a game wrecker, but I believe in Kyron Williams. There's just too many of my guys on this team. I can't go against them. I'm going to go with the Purge.
Yeah, man, the purge. I mean, Dak Prescott versus the Jets, check. Garrett Wilson versus Dallas defense, check. Michael Pittman versus Vegas, check. You know what I'm saying? Kyron Williams versus San Francisco. Yeah, I know San Francisco's been tough, but they've had a soft schedule. This is going to be their toughest matchup, and they got no Boza. So Kyron Williams, check. You know what I'm saying? And they don't have to deal with their best
I feel like
player
Bosa
on a bye
affects
week.
more the pass rushing part of it, but yeah, even
Affects
then,
affects both ways. Affects both ways. But yeah,
Kyron
you're right.
Williams
It
is not good.
does, but it still takes away from the defense because it takes away depth, it takes away talent, whatever. So going with the
Mm.
purge as well.
Yep, looking at these guys' benches, I don't see anyone that can come off and make a difference for the system. So yeah, I expect the system to be 3-2 by the end of this, going with the Purge. All right. GAD currently 3-1. First overall, who would have seen that? Going up against 2-2, thanks to Paki. Joel Vasquez is currently sitting at seventh place overall. GAD, they are top in the league in scoring. One of the main reasons why they're top in the league in scoring is Josh Jacobs. He's going to be out. Um, but I don't think it matters. I see too much talent on this way, and I feel like I hitched my wagon to Marvin Harrison, so I'm gonna practically bet on him every week going forward. Amon-Ra St. Brown is consistent.
Gotta
Baker
stay
Mayfield, we
consistent.
talked about him. We love him. And until James Cook has a bad game, you got to keep playing on him. Maybe bye weeks affect what you have on the bench. If you have an option, I would start anyone instead of Toria McMillan. Travis Etienne didn't look too bad. Dallas Goddard's getting into the end zone with a certain consistency. I would go with any of these guys over McMillan. That's my only suggestion to GAD. Not that he needs my suggestion. Um,
Do you know if
just
he
make sure
auto
you.
drafted or did he draft? Do you know?
Uh, I don't know.
Okay,
This
because
this
this
team
team is
seems too good.
this team is stacked.
Yeah, this team's too good for him to have drafted
Credits to
himself.
Wika, bro. You got James Cook,
But
Josh Jacobs, and you got Travis Etienne. Like Josh Jacobs is on bye, and you could just plug in Travis Etienne. Like whatever,
yeah, truth be told, though, like I don't know that too many of these players were expected to be this good this early in the season.
bro. Cook,
And there
Jacobs, and
might stand.
Etienne.
Is Cook
What?
that good?
Amon and Marvin Harrison. Like this guy draft by himself. These guys
Yeah,
are all. These are not rookies.
no. All right.
The fuck,
Yeah, I got them going. On the other side, Lamar Jackson is listed as doubtful currently at the time of recording. Hamstring injury that could take him out up to 3 weeks. Right now, it looks like you would replace him with Drake May against Buffalo. Not a great matchup there. Justin Jefferson, not looking great. I had this thought while I was watching the Vikings game. There's some players that I consider to be quarterback proof. I don't think that Justin Jefferson is there. He looked great with Kirk Cousins, but just about anyone else that's played with him, including Sam Darnold, not consistently a top 10 receiver.
I mean,
Chuba
that's a tough.
Hubbard.
That's tough. That's a tough take because the talent is there, but I mean, it's Carson fucking Wentz. You're starting to see the real Carson Wentz now. That's all it is.
And, I mean, Carson Wentz fed him. He fed him last week against Pittsburgh. He got over 100 yards. He got his catches. He just didn't get into the end zone. But I don't think he's quarterback proof. He doesn't make it happen with everybody.
Because
All right, Lion Kings 2-2, eighth place, going against third place overall, 3-1. La Maldición Inca. Ah, ugh, tough one here. Okay, I don't want to go against my co-host, but
you can.
looks
It's
like
fine.
Patrick Mahomes found his groove, and he's going up against Jacksonville this week. I like the matchup for Patrick Mahomes. My guy Jackson Smith in Jigba. Uh, I feel like I can't go against him either. That's another one of my guys. Quentin Johnson, big pickup at the waiver wire, and he's
Dude, Quentin
looking every
fucking
bit.
Johnston.
Yeah,
Who the
he's
fuck? Like,
looking
what
every
the
bit.
fuck?
Then Omarion Hampton, I mean, he's getting every single chance to get yards to score. Like you said, there doesn't even seem to be a second option behind him.
There isn't.
True bell cow. I'm sorry, the opportunities are just too good. The matchups are too good. I'm going with La Maldición Inca this week.
All right, so hear me out. Hear me out on this one. I'm gonna go with me.
Okay.
Hear me
Oh,
out. This is my logic. It's my
surprise.
logic. It's my logic over here. Jackson Smith and Jigba has had double digits every week. By law
Mhm.
of averages, he has to have a bad week at some point. Same with
Mm.
Quentin Johnston. So I'm hoping these guys have a bad week.
So what's your strategy, Paki? Yeah, I'm hoping and praying.
Hope is not a strategy, but it's the one that I'm going to use this week, my friend, because I'm still betting on myself. I mean, I got to pick up a tight end because I'm bit by the bye week with Tucker Kraft, so I got to find a tight end, and I got to find a defensive player as well. So I got some work cut out for myself, and he has some bye weeks as well, but again, like nothing big. It's all covered, right? So Jordan Love, he's got Patrick Mahomes, and Drake London, he's fine. Romeo Dubs, he's fine. So yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping Omari and like maybe like Washington just like completely shuts out the Chargers. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what I'm hoping for. That's doesn't sound very great, but that I can't go against myself, man. That's all it is.
Uh, okay, not much to say there.
What else can I
Tú
say?
estás loco, going up against El Monte Candela. Monte Candela is going to be bit hard by weeks this week. He finally dropped James Conner. No DK Metcalf, who pulled a lot of the weight. Um, AJ Brown. I think they're going to try to force feed him, but the defense is not promising. They're not going to give him a lot of opportunities. They can be quite stifling. Oof, Luke McCaffrey's who you're going to run out there? Oh, I hope he makes some changes to this lineup. Um, Can both of these teams lose?
I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. That's for sure. I mean, it definitely won't be a high
Yeah,
scoring game. I think they're going to go into the waiver wire, right, to make some moves. Because the thing is, like, the same. I feel like talking about Omar's team is the same topic every week. Like, could you got so many Dolphins on this team? Even after Tyreek gets hurt, you still got Tua, you still got Jalen Waddle, um, you still got Miami players on defense. They are playing against the Panthers, which suck, but Miami does have a tendency of playing down to opponents. So and so we'll see what happens with that. But theoretically speaking, like Omar should win this one, right? Tua Tagovailoa should win this one because Jalen Waddle should have a better week. Tua should have about another 14, 15 points, right? That's about as much as I can expect from him. So, Emeka Ibuka every week, right? So,
every week.
you know what I mean? That's just what it gets down to, man.
Yeah.
I think,
Since both of these teams can't lose, I'm gonna go with Tua Tagovailoa. Monty plays tough. He surprises me. I played against him this week, and he performed way better than I expected. But the bye weeks are going to be too much for him to overcome. He
yeah.
doesn't have anything on the bench currently that's going to take up the spots that he's losing. I don't know if he's willing to drop any of the players he has on bye week. Maybe let go of Tank Bigsby. I don't know what you're holding on to him for. It looks like he's way down in the depth chart. Tuataloco it is for this week. All right. This one is projecting to be close. Two girls, one cup, 2-2, fifth place overall, going up against the fourth place overall Wakanda Panthers, who just got their first loss this week, but they're coming off their worst performance of the week. I feel like I run into this a lot. I get the team right after their worst performance, and then they
Mm,
tend to take off when they play me. Uh, so far, hit or miss. I'm 2-2, so not all of them have been losses necessarily. Uh, that said, I'm not going to go against me. The matchups are not in my favor.
fair.
Uh, Kyler Murray's going to go against Tennessee. They can be all up in his face. Puka Nacua against San Francisco. I'm going to bet on Puka Nacua anyway, but San Francisco defense right now, um, it's showing me like they're in red on Yahoo, telling me that it's not a favorable matchup, but it's just because of who they've played against. I think Puka Nacua may change that, may bring him back into the gray. I got Cooper Cup in the lineup right now. That may not stick. Until I see more consistency coming out of Cooper Cup, I don't think he's going to be an everyday starter for me. Kenneth Walker the third is. Sam Laporta, uh, I really need him to start getting touchdowns. And again, I don't think this is the lineup that ultimately is going to get put out there, but Nick Chubb and Roquan Smith are going to have to be replaced. And Joey Sly, dude, negative points from a kicker last week. I still managed to win, but he was at one point when I picked him up, he was the best kicker in fantasy. He had the most fantasy points. He got shut out last week, and he gave me negative points. So now he's kind of middle of the pack again.
That's not going to happen every
I
week,
have a
though.
decision to make there. I know, but I also don't know that he is the best kicker in football,
I mean,
dude.
Cam Ward seems to be getting worse every week, so he's not even giving him a chance to get like a comfortable field goal shot. That's the problem.
Dude, I dropped Marvin Mims just to pick up Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman is there, 2 targets, 1 catch, and then he's injured. Uh,
Oh, you can
wow.
drop him. That's the good thing.
Yeah, he's an IR. He's gonna go. He's gonna be out until week 10. So yeah, he's a drop. I'm gonna drop
Hey,
him right now while we're in.
quick question: you got Jalen Warren, dude. Do you think he lost his job?
Ooh, that is a very good question. I do not. I don't. He may lose some of his opportunities, but I don't think he lost his job.
Mm, okay.
The
Yeah, I'm
chances were
curious.
there. The Vikings haven't been a shutdown defense. Um, Kenneth Gainwell is not going to do that all the time, and Kenneth Gainwell is also just one hit away from missing the whole season as well.
Mm,
Not that I'm wishing that on him, but I don't think that you quit on Jalen Warren that fast. Also, I believe So far, what I've seen from Jalen Warren, and this is just me following the box scores, not even watching the games all that closely. Jalen Warren catches the ball a lot better than Kenneth Gainwell, so there's still going to be chances for him when he gets back if he plays.
Hmm.
They're on a bye week this week, so he was injured last week. That's 1 week of rest. They're on a bye week, so it'll be 3 weeks before he touches the ball again. Um, so yeah, when he comes back, he still has a role in that offense.
Cool.
Jeez, dude.
I mean, I
What
think I'm torn in this matchup because like the projection says it's close, and it looks close to me also. I do want to go with your team because you are my co-host, and I don't want to go against the co-host because we got to stick together, ride or die. But I'm a little bit afraid of like Christian McCaffrey and I know you're benching Cooper Cup, but you Puka, like I don't know, man. These divisional matchups between the 49ers and the Rams, like if I'm betting on this game, I'd probably bet the under. They always play extremely tight. If anything, Puka might have a chance because Bose isn't there, so there won't be as much pass rush. But we'll see. And then on the other side, there's like so many Detroit players going up against Cincinnati. Somebody's gonna have something. I don't know who is it gonna be, right? Because we already talked earlier about Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams, but then you got Jared Goff and David Montgomery here. Like, there could be some touchdowns there on this side. T. Higgins, I'm not sold on him because I already spoke about the Cincinnati offense, but Jordan Addison is an interesting, player. He looked pretty good. It took him a while to get acclimated, but he had some big plays, right? So it's super. And then you got Devontae Adams on the other side, though. So that's, oh my God, this is so tough. I'm going to go with your team. And the projection says you should go higher. I'm going to go with your team as well. But this is a real tough one, dude, to be honest with you. This is real
keep
tough.
in mind, I have injuries. He has bye weeks. We're both going to need to move some players around. So that projection, I don't think that's hard
Yeah.
and fast.
No,
I
I
do
know.
have the number one waiver priority. Let's see what there is on the waiver for me to have. Um, but that said, yeah, I trust my team a little bit more.
Yeah, it's
Last
what we talked
week,
about
Kyler
earlier.
Murray went up against,
Sorry, it's what we talked about
yeah,
earlier. He needs to pick up a kicker. Like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that means you got to drop somebody. A lot of people are going to be hitting the waiver wires this week, bro. A lot of players are going to get into the waiver wire.
whew, it's an interesting bench too for Wakanda
Mm-hmm.
Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Stephon Diggs is back. Going up against Buffalo though.
I feel like any of those guys that he drops might get scooped up to get a kicker,
Yeah,
except for Penix, maybe.
for sure. All right. So that's it for our picks for week 5 of the League of Haters 2025. I just looked at when my bye weeks are. When week 8 comes around, I don't have a team. All of my starters are out on week 8.
Well, start prepping now,
Kyler,
man.
Puka, Cup, Kenneth Walker, Laporta, all of them are out.
Start prepping now, my friend.
Yikes! All right, dude. So there isn't too much to discuss in the is Paki, what Paki got right, what Paki got wrong this week. So we're gonna give way to our new segment, which is where you're gonna break down one of the more interesting plays of the week. So the
So you wanted
floor
to
is
talk?
yours.
Let's start with the tush push, right? Because the tush push fake is something that you said you wanted to talk about, and the
I did ask
interesting.
you why did that tush book fake work?
So it's
And you said, "Well,
interesting.
that's easy."
Yeah, it's very easy because the Bucks were one of the few teams last season that shut down the tush push. Credit
Hmm.
to Vita Vea, right? Vita Vea did a huge job. But the big thing that I think Philadelphia probably picked up on film and why they put this fake in, and it's not the first time that they do a fake, but if you notice on this alignment right now, there's absolutely no one in contain. So technically, this outside linebacker or safety, I'm not sure what he is, right? But based on the position, he's positioned like an outside linebacker. He would be the one that would have contained responsibility. Obviously, this D end right here is not in contained responsibility because they're all pinned towards the middle. So it's very easy for them to say, like, dude, we could just send somebody on a sweep and there's going to be nobody there. And you know that this was a design play because of the blocking on the play side, right? You have everybody does the tush push formation, but you have Mailata and the tight end. They both go for a reach block instead of doing the regular blocks to seal the edge. And then on this side, you have Goddard pull around to lead block. And you'll notice that this was done so perfectly, and the Bucks defended this so horribly that they had extra blockers in front of at the point of attack, right? So if you play the clip, right, you see the reach block right here, right? These two guys are reaching right here. You got this guy pulling right around, and at this point, see how you got this sealed off right here? Perfectly sealed by Calcaterra and Goddard, right? So once you play that, like, look, they're not even blocking anybody. They're in position ready to block, and there's nobody coming in. So this is huge, right? Because this really opens up the tush push just by them putting this on film. Even if they don't do this again all season, now teams have to contain somebody. There's nobody here in contain whatsoever. Nothing. There's no look. He's blocking nobody. He's blocking nobody. There's nothing there. So now teams are going to have to account for that, which is probably just going to make the tush push even harder to
Even
defend.
more possible.
This is to me the main reason why I am so against banning the tush push, because it's a matter of time before the Eagles put in a tush push pass. Like, it's gonna happen, dude. I can totally see it happen, right? So that to me is the biggest thing, right? So I it's a legit football play, dude. Hate it or love it. Like, there's just so much variations out of here. I don't know how teams are gonna defend this moving forward.
So
Um,
if they do ever ban the tush push, what's what do you think the penalty is? Like, okay, you line up for the tush push, right? And it's a fake out. You're gonna do something like they did here, or like the pass that you proposed. What is a referee supposed to do? Are they gonna like, you lined up for it, so penalty, go back 5 yards?
I mean, if you look at the original tush push, they do put their hands on Jalen Hurts' ass to push him forward, right?
Hmm.
That would have to be the rule change, that they're not allowed to push the quarterback forward. But the problem with that is, I don't know. I feel like that can go either way. But if you just specifically put in the rule that you cannot push a player from their butt, right? Unless they already, like, I don't know how you have to write it, but you have to be very specific, because if a running back is running the ball and he runs into a pile, you can push the pile. So
Right.
they have to be very specific on the rules, but that's the only way to ban it. I'm sure they already have it written down because it was proposed to ban it, right? So it's written, it just hasn't passed. So that I'm so against banning this, dude. So against it.
Gotcha. All right. Dago had questions about a play that occurred with the Bengals Broncos game. Specifically, Bo Nix kind of looking away and not giving the ball to Evan Ingram.
hmm
Uh, he asks whether this is a chemistry issue, an opportunity, or it's Bo Nix just not seeing it there.
So there's two plays, right? And they were both back to back, where Evan Ingram was running to the flat, and he was both running the same route in both, right? So here we got under center 13 personnel, right? Which means it's three tight ends. You got one, two tight ends. You got Evan Ingram inline tight end as well here. That's three tight ends. You have a receiver and you have a running back, right? So the way that this play is designed is you have a play action boot where Bo Nix boots to the left, and you have Evan Ingram coming around like he's pulling for a block and releasing to the flat. I don't know if you can follow my mouse arrow, right? You
I
got
see.
one tight end blocking here to seal. The other tight end is running a corner to the back of the end zone. And then this receiver is running right here a deep crosser, right? So you basically have a flood concept where you have a flat, a middle receiver, and then you have somebody in the end zone, right? So it looks to me that when this ball came around, there's two things that happened. Number one, I think Bo Nix was looking for the receiver first, right here in the open. So he was clearly looking deep first before looking to the flat. And then the second thing is I feel like this is on Evan Ingram, because notice where the ball is. The ball is on the left hash, which means you have a shorter field to go through. And Evan Ingram should have slowed down that route because he was getting close to the edge. And when he caught it, it was caught incomplete because he caught it and one foot was out of bounds already. So it looked like he was late, but at the same time, Evan Ingram was really open. You have to slow down the route, whether they're throwing it to you or not, to make sure that you have the space. Because even though the ball was technically late because he was looking downfield, if Evan Ingram would have slowed down, he would have been able to catch the ball and make a play. So like I'm gonna break it, show you the clip right in slow motion, so you can see that. And this is the exact games, right? So here we got the first release coming up to the top. We got this receiver coming on a crosser. We already got the boot happening, and we got this guy coming out. So like I said, you are on the short end of the field. At this point, you got to slow it down. You're at the numbers. At this point, you got to slow it down. And there's another take that you're going to see that, like, this is a drill that you do with quarterbacks and receivers all the time to practice throwing on the run, where the receiver has to practice being on the quarterback's front foot to make that pass easier. Evan Ingram is way ahead of Bo Nix. You have to look at your quarterback as the marker of where to run this route. So here you see that he's already super far out. And on the replay, you can really see the difference of how far ahead what's his face was Evan Ingram was. So Bo Nix was technically late, but you can see he's looking downfield. Look right there. He's looking downfield. He's not looking at Evan Ingram, right? So then he switches to Evan Ingram. Look, you see, he's looking for that back. You can see he's looking for that back route first. So that's probably in the
Right.
progression that he has to go deep first. And then here, look, Bo Nix is behind the numbers. Look at how far ahead of the numbers he is. So this is a bad route by Ingram as well. Remember we talked about route running earlier? That's about not
Right.
earlier. We talked in previous weeks about route running. That's a bad route. In my opinion, that's a bad route. And that goes right into the next play, which is also the same thing, right? But now they switched up the personnel, right? They're in 11 personnel, being Evan Ingram, the only tight end. He's going to motion in here into an H-back, basically, and he's going to motion across the formation, go to a flat. This one is a design flat play because they want to go right back to Evan Ingram, right? So on this one, if you're Evan Ingram, you can speed it up a little bit because the ball's on the left hash. You're going to the opposite side of the field, so you have more grass, right? These two guys are literally running pick routes. So they're running slants inside. They're not really trying to get open. Bo Nix is not looking for them. This is designed to go to only Evan Ingram. This is a half-ass route by Cortland Sutton. There's just nothing because, Bo Nix is booting to the right now. So that ball is never going there. So this is a design play for that. So again, this one is more on Bo Nix because this one should have gone out quicker, but I'm going to show you why I think he didn't let it go. Because right here you can see these are pick routes. These guys aren't trying to get open, and they're going opposite direction of the quarterback. The reason why I think he didn't throw the ball there is because right there you see this defender is falling. If this defender didn't fall, he was covered because the play action fake was kind of weak. Nobody fell for it. So you got 1, 2, 3 players, and you got a safety coming down as well. He had to see this guy fall to let that ball go but at that point that ball should have been thrown already. But again, if you see it on the replay on the other side, you will clearly see that he looks covered until that defender falls. They still got it to the 1 yard line, so it's still a good play by Evan Ingram, right? So, if it would have been thrown half a second earlier, he might have been able to score, right? Because it's literally 1 yard. How Al Pacino says on Any Given Sunday, football is a game of inches, right? So, anything can happen, right?
And when you stopped it there, I also saw Knicks had the ball way too low. Like it wasn't ready to throw it right then.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know what exactly he was looking for. Notice the player fall. He wasn't ready to throw it at that moment. Bo Nix, Denver Broncos, right now,
Mm-hmm.
2-2. Is he the real deal?
Oh yeah, dude, he looks solid, man. Bo Nix has all the tools, man. He had some great throws. Like we talked about Jackson Dart, right? Like he had some great throws, deep, intermediate, and short. And that's what you want to see of a quarterback because that's what makes it harder for a defensive coordinator to prepare for you, right? When I'm like, oh, if I stay this, he can hit me over here. So maybe it doesn't always connect. He had a couple bad throws, but he has a lot of good throws too. So I think Bo Nix is for real, and he's got the right coach.
I was just about to say I kind of didn't want Sean Payton to succeed. I didn't want him to be the
Mm.
quarterback whisperer, but maybe he is. What's Bo
I
Nix's
mean,
comp?
Bo Nix was also a quarterback in D1 football for like 20 years, dude. Like he has a lot of
Forever.
experience. That dude he was a rookie last year, bro, and he was playing D1 football starting before COVID. So he's been around for a while. So he's pretty experienced. So of course I'm giving credit to Champagne, but I'm also giving credit to Bo Nix.
Absolutely. Paki, thank you for the coach's corner. And thank you, everyone who sticked around this long within the show. That is our podcast. That is our show for this week. Um, I was rooting for the Yankees today. They lost. Hopefully, they get past the Red Sox in the wild card. And that's everything I have for this week, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for some more football.
For cousin Juan and the two or three other guys that watched the actual episode, if you guys have any clips of any plays that you want us to break down, drop them in the chat. You can you can even send a YouTube clip of it if anything, or the timestamp on a YouTube highlight, and we'll review it in the coach's corner, baby.
Break it down. All right.
All right.
That is all we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Paki, I'll see you next week. Go football.
Yes, sir. Peace out.
We out.